Director Eli Jacobs-Fantauzzi mixes lush landscapes with a score by the pioneers of Bakosó for a deeper look into the fusion of African cultures in the Caribbean.
My first film I ever made was about Cuban hip hop. And then my second film was about hip life music in Ghana, West Africa, which is like high life music and hip hop connected. So when I went back to Cuba and I showed Hiwe the film, he said, "Hey, we're doing this in Santiago de Cuba, in my hometown." So when he played me the music and I knew that this genre was being born, I knew we had to capture it. So that was kind of the idea, how it came to me. I knew we had to make a film about it. Santiago de Cuba is a whole different context. I think when we hear about Cuba a lot, it's about Havana because it's 90 miles away from Miami. But if you think about Santiago, the other side of the island, and Cuba is huge. It's right next to Jamaica. It's right next to Haiti. And so even when, Marcus Garvey was setting up the UNIA, they put their headquarters in Santiago de Cuba. That's like a cultural capital for the Caribbean. And so, yeah, especially with like Marines and trading, I think there's always been this kind of conversation that happened within the Caribbean. With the medical school, you get a lot of African students coming in. And of course, they bring their culture, food, and rhythms with them. And that fuses with the Cubans, and they make it their own style. I think in every country, the music is like the writing on the wall. It's the people's voice. And so, yeah, I think what we get in the United States, because the United States is its own regime and very, they promote their own concept. So what we hear about Cuba is always negative. I feel like I grew up hearing negative things about Cuba my whole life. And it wasn't until I got there with my own eyes to see the music, the culture, the beauty. And that's what I wanted to promote. That's what I wanted to show the world, because it's something that was kind of left out of the story. That's something that I didn't get to see. My brother went in 1994, who's a producer on the film. And back then it was illegal to go. We still have a US embargo that we need to get rid of. And he went and had his passport stamped to say, this is a protest. I believe that we should have the right to travel and know that other systems of governance are possible, that other systems of governments work. That there was like no homeless in the street when we went that first trip. There was an educational system, a healthcare system that we need to learn from. And so, yeah, I feel like also, I'm from Puerto Rico. My family is Boricua. And, the US came in after the Spanish and did the second colonization, try to outlaw our drums, try to outlaw who we were. And Cuba didn't have that. And I feel like they're much closer to their roots. They were able to sustain their spirituality, their music, their connection to Africa because they weren't colonized that second time. I definitely have a greater vision for the purpose of my work. And I hope that it moves people to fight for justice. In California, they were making California English only. They were taking away affirmative action. So we were very politically active out there organizing people to fight for justice. And then in the news at night, they show a 30-second clip, of somebody on the outside, like they didn't know why they were there. And like, we did all this work, months and months organizing something. So really we found the power of telling our own story. We saw the importance of it. And we knew that if we wanted to tell it correctly, that we had to do it ourselves.
I do a lot of the producing. And the way that we do it is we really build off of each other's ideas. And it's great being able to work with my brother. A lot of it has been self-funded with the limited value, the limited resources that we have. I'm also a grade school, middle school teacher. So I've been doing that. And then I work with my brother on the summers. And we had, our very first project was very was homegrown. And also we really, we ride on our community. We've done several crowdfunding where we've been very successful, where people have supported our ideology and the work that we do, and have supported us to have some resources that we didn't have.
I think something that inspires us, similar to what I was saying about Cuba, that we don't really get that side of the story, that people don't really uplift the beauty of Cuba the way that it is. I feel like it's the same for the African diaspora. And so for years, like I said, 20 years, we've been telling stories of the African diaspora, showing how we're connected through this African legacy, through the Caribbean. And so that's been just in the past 4 or 5 years, you hear the word Afro-Latino. You hear like, okay, creating spaces for our stories. And I think that's something very important that we'll continue to do, because this is a part of us that we're proud of. We believe that the final product is as important as how you get there. So we're really interested in non-extractive storytelling. You don't just go in and mine stories or like, and a lot of times the communities are worse off. They make documentary films super sad. They go and get rich off of the situation, and the situation stays the same. And so our films take a long time to make because we become a part of that community. We believe we tell the story with the community, not about a community. Bakosó started in 2017. But as I said, my relationship to Hiwe is 20 years old. So it started way before then. This was just like a new way to interact and uplift these stories. But yeah, I definitely, the documentary as an industry, I feel like has been moving very wrong, and we're trying to correct that.
The world premiere was in Los Angeles at the largest Pan-African or African-focused film festival called the Pan-African Film Festival. We got the Audience Choice Award there. And then like Eli saying, we not only did Eli go with the film, but Hiwe actually got a visa and got to travel to Trinidad. They showed it in Guyana. We were able to go to Panama. And also here in New York, we did several major screenings. We did the Urban World, which was at Times Square Theaters over there. And then we actually got to do a really special screening at the Apollo Theater, where we sold out the Apollo Theater up on the top there, and got to do a question and answer and talk about Afro-Latino identity, Pan-Caribbean unity, and really got to talk about some important themes, which is what we want this film to do, is to bring up those conversations and to allow for people to talk about stories that need to be told that haven't been told.
After our first film, we travel around the world and show it, and we see all these amazing films, independent films that wouldn't reach our community. And so we said, if there's no access to these films, let's create access. And that's how we started this Film Festival. We believe that watching a good film can change your life, and that we believe that some films are made to be discussed. That is, you don't just watch it behind a computer, but you watch it in community and you learn from each other and build. And that's the idea and concept of the Fist Up Film Festival. We do it in May every year. It's free for filmmakers to apply, free for the community to attend. And we do it in person usually, with a conversation always afterwards. But for last year and this year, we are taking it virtual. So the good thing is that you don't have to be in the Bay Area to enjoy it. So log on and join the conversation. Our next film is based in Puerto Rico. It's actually after the hurricane. And it's about a group of young folks in the mountain region coming together to rebuild and create the future that they want for themselves. So it's an inspiring story. Of course, it was through difficult times, but transforming their lives and not waiting for anybody from the top down, but just doing it ourselves. And it's also a reflection of the work that we do. We don't wait to get the grant or the government or somebody to say, okay, here, now you can do it. No, we go out there with our cameras and we make the film, and hopefully people like it and spread the word. This is for everybody And thank you to Black Public Media for making that happen, the PBS and the World Channel. And yeah, we definitely would, as Khalil stated, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today without our community lifting us up. These are stories that they want to see, so they put their money where their mouth is, and we're able to continue to do what we love.